All right. I just started recording, so I won't
Okay.
keep you too long at all. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no problem, no problem.
I know this has been, I don't know what has been going wrong, but we are on together right now. So whatever attempt was made to stop us from talking, it did not work.
No, it did not.
Well, let me start by saying I'm Carol Daniel, talk show host and news anchor with KMOX Radio News in St. Louis, Missouri, one of 6 radio stations in St. Louis owned by Odyssey Incorporated, and so happy to feature for Black History Month what I am lovingly calling living history, because there are those among us today who are history makers, who have made history and continue to do so. And one of those is this woman right here, Mayor Ella Jones of Ferguson, Missouri. She is the first woman and first Black mayor to serve as mayor of Ferguson. She also became the first Black woman elected to the city council in 2015. Mayor Jones, it's great to see you again.
Well, it's great to see you again too, Carol. I really always enjoy talking with you and meeting with you. So this is a great day.
I had no idea. A lot of people know this. I didn't know you were a chemist.
Oh yeah, I was a pharmaceutical chemist. My degree is in chemistry. I graduated from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. They like to say UMSO,
Yeah.
the chemistry department. When I graduated from UMSO, I went to Washington University School of Medicine, worked in a peptide laboratory, and from there, I went to KV Pharmaceutical and did a lot of drug study for them. So after a while, I said, oh, I get tired of working by myself.
Oh yeah, you do have to. I said to my oldest son, he has that science background.
Okay.
Some people like to be in the lab. If you like to be in the lab by yourself, if you like to do that research by yourself, you have to know yourself. Let me ask you this though, Mayor Ella Jones of the city of Ferguson. Who was it that turned you on to science in such a way that you became a chemist?
In high school, I had my high school math teacher, Mr. Robertson. I was in Algebra 1, and I took, we had the weekly test in the algebra, and I just hurry up and finish the test, and I handed it to him. He said, nobody finished the test that fast. You just didn't want to do the test. I said, well, it was easy. So when he scored it, I had 98%. He said, well, you are very good in math, and I know you're good in science. And at that point, I was going to be a chemical engineer. When I
Okay.
was in high school, I wanted to be a chemical engineer. So as my life got all tangled up and everything, when I had an opportunity to go back to college, I majored in chemistry.
That is wonderful. What was life like? You've been in Ferguson for 40 years. Where were you born in Ferguson, or were you born in St. Louis?
No, I'm from the South. I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana. And my husband and I migrated up here to St. Louis because this is where his family is. And so, I just came up to St. Louis. We lived in the city a while. We lived out west. And then we bought a home in Ferguson because my daughter was at school age at the time. And we wanted her to walk to school. We didn't want her to be bused. And so the Ferguson Florissant School District was all the rave, so we moved out here for her to walk to school. And Ferguson has been a great place to live, work, and play. And she grew up here. She went to Griffith School. She went to Ferguson Middle School. She graduated from McClure High School as a scholar athlete. And it's just a good place to live. So, and it afforded me an opportunity while she was young. I went back to college, and I can remember at one time my husband was in college, I was in college, and my daughter was in school, and we would all sit around the dining room table to do
Doing homework. I love what a vision that is.
Yeah, so it paid off. So I enjoy it. Right now, my daughter works for Union Pacific. She is a trainer and she loves her job. And, just at the time, this high school gave her a good background
Yeah.
to go to college. She majored in elementary education with a minor in English, and she used it every day.
That's wonderful. Well, you and I have something in common, and I know you don't know this because I didn't know that you were born in New Orleans, but I spent my every summer going to New Orleans as a child because my mother's side of the family, when the girls got a certain age and sort of brothers as well, they moved from Mississippi, from
Oh,
the Jackson, Mississippi area, I should say, not Jackson, but to New Orleans. So I grew up going to New Orleans every single summer, and that is one of my favorite cities. What was it like growing up in New Orleans?
it was different growing up in New Orleans because when I grew up, we had the black school for the black people and we
Yeah,
had the school for the white people.
it was
And
segregated.
it was very segregated. So by the time I made it to senior high, we started protesting. And I tell people all the time, it's good to protest, but let it have a positive result that's going to be affect everyone's life. So we walked around Forshey High School, and the Black kids managed to get to go to Forshey High School. But here, the funniest thing, their school was just as raggedy as our school.
Oh
And we did
my.
all that to get in that school. And we were like, we could have stayed where we were, because this school wasn't any different than ours. And we thought it would be, and it wouldn't. So
It's interesting that you had no idea because you
no idea, no
yeah.
idea. When we go in after gym, they showers wasn't working properly. And, we came from a high school where the showers was good, everything. And we realized that just because we are segregated, that does not make them better. So that was a lesson we learned down in Louisiana.
Well, I know that that traveling is still something that you love to do. Do you go back to New Orleans often?
Well, I went back for Christmas, and it was so funny. My daughter and I, we stayed in the Sheraton Hotel on Canal Street because this time my daughter said, "Mom, I have always gone down home to visit the family. We always stay at someone's house.
Yeah.
This time, let's get us a hotel and just act like tourists." So that's what we did. So I took her to Jackson Square, and we went to French Quarters, and we went to the French Market. So she had the opportunity to see New Orleans as a tourist and not always going to grandma's house and with my brother, at my brother's house. And yes, I was in Southwest Next.
You were in that.
I was in that. And it was so funny that Tuesday night we had all gone to the movie. And I'm sitting in the movie trying
Trying to check in?
trying to get my seat. And I kept telling my daughter, I said, "It won't let me check in." She said, "Mama, hush, hush." I said, "I can't check in." She said, "You don't know what you're doing." So she tried to check in. She said, "No, you can't check in." So we just finished the movie. We went back to the hotel. We called Southwest from 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't get in.
Oh, wow.
And finally, at 3 o'clock in the morning, they sent out a text that my flight had been canceled. Now, she was flying back to Dallas. Her flight was not canceled, but my flight coming back to St. Louis was canceled. So she said, Mom, what you gonna do? I said, well, we have a rental car. Take me to the hotel. Take me to the airport so I can rent a car to drive home. So by the time we got to the New Orleans airport, all the rental cars was gone.
Oh,
So I called my brother who lives in Gulfport, Mississippi. He said, well, why don't you come over here? So my daughter drove me to Gulfport, Mississippi
oh,
to rent a car. And I drove all night trying to get back to St. Louis.
by yourself?
Yeah, I drove by myself. I'm used to driving it because, all my life I've been driving back and forth on 55. All you do is go I-10, 55, and it, take you to St. Louis and New Orleans.
So for those who may
that.
not remember, it wasn't that long ago, this is Black History Month, February, but Christmas, Southwest Airlines has this major meltdown, of course, and
Yes.
every flight is canceled and thousands and thousands of pieces of luggage are just sitting. Did you get your luggage?
No,
You
I
never
had
got
my
on your
luggage.
flight.
I wasn't able to check in. My flight was canceled. So, but I had my luggage with me.
Thank goodness.
And my girlfriend, she was down in New Orleans and I called her. I said, come on, let's get a car. She said, hey, I got a bus ticket. I'm going back to St. Louis on a bus ticket. My other girlfriend, Kendra, she was in New Orleans and I called her. I said, Kendra, how you gonna get home? She said, we hit the highway. I'm like, I gotta do the same thing to get back. So
Wow.
Southwest, they were good. They gave us extra 25,000
Points.
points.
Yeah.
And then they reimbursed me for my ticket and everything I did, renting a car and buying the gas.
So you got it. You have gotten all that back.
Yes, they were real
Good.
nice about it. They didn't hesitate.
Okay.
to send in
I'm
the
curious,
information.
Mayor Jones, when you guys are protesting to desegregate the school, the high schools, what are your parents saying?
Nothing. They say, if that's what you all want to do it. If
So they didn't stand in your way?
No, they did not. And it was a group of us. And we didn't have any problems. It wasn't any fights breaking out back then. We were just walking around the school, just chanting, let us in. We deserve to be attend this high school. And then when the school board realized what we was doing, they just desegregated. And we went to Forshey High School. And it wasn't what we thought.
Yeah, and found out I didn't even need to be here.
Mhm.
So were you, before that, would you have described yourself as an activist, or was that your first time?
That was my first time protesting. However, growing up, I grew up with 5 brothers, and they make you tough.
Yeah.
They make you tough. And anything that my brothers and them did, I did too. So whatever, I can, and it brings me back, my brother and them used to lift weights a lot, and I would lift the weights along with them. And, whatever they did, we did it. And my brothers, they taught us to be strong and tough and don't cry. And it is just so funny, Lake Pontchartrain is in New Orleans.
Uh-huh.
We used to jump off the bridges.
Oh,
Into the water, deep water. And they would jump off and we would jump off with them. That's the way we follow my brothers, my 2 sisters and myself. And right now, I don't want to go to a pool because I remember I said, I had to be out of my mind to jump off one of those bridges into Lake Pontchartrain.
wow.
So, and even now, when I went back for Christmas, my brother and we were sitting around telling the stories of our childhood, and his wife was like, Warren would tell me you all used to do that, but I never believed him. I said, believe him, we did it.
My goodness. Well, I wonder
So,
if that made you ready for politics, ready for what you would face in Ferguson.
oh, of course. I learned in this life that you have to stay focused. You have to stay focused. And once you make a commitment to do something, you do it. We were taught your word is your bond.
Mhm.
Don't say you're going to do something and you don't do it, and stick to it. And if you fail, it's never fatal, because you can always go back. And there's no such thing as a mistake. It's a mistake if you don't learn something from it. However, when you learn from it, it's not a mistake. So all of that has my upbringing, being married, it teaches you not to be such so timid, put it that way.
Mhm.
Put
Mhm.
it that way. And even in politics, it's it's what I chose to do,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do it. And I have several of my girlfriends. They call some say they non-political girlfriends, and some of them political girlfriends. And my non-political girlfriends, they often call me and say, "Why do you stay in it?" I said, "Because I made a promise to the people that they will have a voice. And no matter what, I'm going to stay." And they get upset. They say, "When we go on Facebook, they talk about you." I said, "But that's okay. The more of them talk about me, that tells me I'm doing something right. Because they wouldn't talk about me if I wasn't doing something right." So you just have to have a thick skin, and you have to stay focused on the mission, focus on the vision, because if you don't, people will tear you down, and they would try to destroy you, especially your character. So you have to know who you are and whose you are in
Right.
order to be in politics.
And,
So
and speaking of whose you are you still, I know you remain a spiritual woman, but you were a pastor for 2 decades.
yes,
Where is that role in your life now?
I'm in church every Sunday, and I'm a member of St. Paul AME Church, and my pastor, Pastor Booker, I love him because he called me and asked me, "Okay, Reb, how you doing?" The first lady called me and she said, "We're praying for you." So when I go to church on Sunday, I enjoy it. I sit in the pews, and then my pastor say, "Reverend," I said, "Let me sit here."
He
So
wants you to come up.
yeah, he wanted me to come in the pulpit.
Yeah.
So he called me last week, last Friday. I can't forget it. I think the story is awesome. And he said, "Reverend Mayor, how you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm getting ready to eat." He said, "What are you eating?" I said, I love fried fish." He said, "Well, what are you doing on the 19th of February?" I said, "Whatever I'm doing, I have to stop because you call in your voice, I can hear you. You
Yeah, he's
said,"
about to ask something.
he said, "Well, I'm traveling out of the United States and I need an itinerary elder to take over the church." I said, "Well, okay." I said, "Now, I'm the mayor." He said, "Yeah, but you are an elder first."
Mm.
And we often talk about that, because I am an elder of the church, and the church is my stability. The church is my stability. And so whenever he called me to do something, I'm always going to drop what I'm doing. I say, if I had something else planned, I had to drop it because that's something I need to do for the church. So
So you're going to be in the pulpit February 19th.
yeah, that Sunday, and I'll be preaching, and I'm like, okay, I said, but don't tell no one that I'm preaching. He said, I'll tell everyone because I want you to have a packed house.
Right.
I said, okay. And I called my girlfriend. I said, you know what, my pastor get on my nerves. I said, he want me to preach. She said, well, yeah, we need to hear from you sometime other than you coming to church sitting in the pews. I said, well, you're not gonna be on my side. She said, no, I'm on Pastor Booker's side. I said, well, that's okay. I can't get no one to be on my side because they ready to hear me preach again.
Mayor Jones, I'm on Pastor Booker's side too. I'm sorry. You know, I respect you and adore you. I'm on his side too.
Yeah, it's just something else. I'm like, okay, Pastor, you win. So
Mayor, take me to the decision making. You ran for mayor before. You were the first Black woman to serve in the city council. What was your thought process? What was going on in your head and your heart when you decided to run for city council that first time?
In 2015, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was Mary Kay sales director, driving a company car, big unit, Offspring sales director, just enjoying myself. I was at a point in my life where in 2013, my husband passed away. And I was still running my business, but I was still trying to find myself. Just trying to find out, how am I going to continue to live without this man that I spent my whole life with?
Mm-hmm.
And so my husband always been interested in politics. Congressman Clay, he worked on his campaigns and everything. Democratic Club, and I always went with him to those events. So when the fatal shooting of Michael Brown happened, Patricia Bynes, who was a committee woman for the Ferguson Township, she called me. She said, young man, been laying in the street for almost 4 hours and he's dead. I said, what? What are you talking about? I said, I'll be around there. She said, no, don't come, stay home. I'm like, Patricia. She said, just stay home. So about a couple of weeks later, Michael McMillan called me.
Of the Urban League of St. Louis.
CEO, president of the Urban League. He called me. He said, Reverend Jones, I would like to invite you to my office and I would like to talk to you. I said, okay, ain't no big deal. Because I know Mike McMillan. So I go down to his office, in walk Adolphus Pruitt.
NAACP.
NAACP of the city. In walk Senator Claire McCaskill.
Oh.
And I'm sitting there and Patricia came in. I say, okay, what's
set up?
I said, what's going on? She said, we didn't want you to protest. We got something else for you to do. And that's why I tell people all the time, if you're going to protest, have a strategy for something in the end, a result. So they asked me to run for Ferguson Ward 1 councilperson. I said, I'm not interested in politics. They said, but you've been around it so much. I said, but I'm not interested in it. And then Mike said, Ella, we are asking you to stay to serve your community.
Well, we lost the camera, but I can still hear you.
I don't know, it has gone out.
You can keep talking.
Okay, there it is.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
So I went home, I called my daughter. I said, you know, they want me to run for councilwoman in the city of Ferguson. She said, Mama, you've been living there all your life. What's the difference? Just serve. All you have to do is serve. So I called them and said, okay, I'll run. I said, I know how to pastor people. I know how to be of service to people. I have always been a servant leader. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And I had 3 opponents. All of them was negative. I'm not gonna be negative. I just, that's not me, because I come from a culture from Mary Kay that you don't have to speak negative about anyone. If you want what that person has, go over there and ask them, how did they do it? And did you do it too? So there's no need for people to be negative as far as I'm concerned. So I ran the race. I won the seat. I was the first African-American female to ever run and win a seat in Ferguson. So I did what I know how and what to do. I got in the streets and I just started talking to the people. That's it. I have always believed people are not interested in how much you know until you show them how much you care. And that's all I do. I care about people. That's all I do. I just care about people.
And that has not changed as mayor. That sentiment has not changed.
It will not change because it's who I am. It's who I be. And I say that because whoever you are, it's always going to pour out. And my pastor said, you don't have to say everything and do everything. If what's leak out of you, people can find out how you are. And so I always try to leak something good out of me and show people who I am, because I'm there to serve them as a leader. That's it.
Well, Mayor Jones, I am so appreciative of this time with you. And one of the reasons, again, that I wanted to talk to people like you is that while we celebrate the history of us as a people in the United States, the history is being made every single day by us. And there are still those times. You represent one of those. I represent one of those in modern day that we become the first.
Right.
We still are breaking barriers.
Yes, very much so. Very much so. And even being elected the first African-American female as mayor of Ferguson, it is a first, and it requires a lot of me. People ask me to speak, they ask me to travel, do things as the first. Not only do I love what I do as Mayor of Ferguson, but it gave me a platform to go out and share with other people. And that's the key of this. This position is never about me. It's about the people that I serve and the people that I can touch beyond what the voters have allowed me to do. Where in the world can you go and have an opportunity to speak to young people and let them know, if I can do it, you can do it too. Whatever you set your mind to do, you can do it. If you fall down, get back up. But never let your dream die, because that's what you want and you have to consistently work at it. So it's a platform for me to share all over the world. I think last month, we had a delegation from Brazil that came to Ferguson, and they wanted to speak to me and my police chief. And we had an opportunity to entertain 20 Brazilians here in Ferguson in our council chambers.
Wow.
That's what this is all about. And now they emailed me last week and they wanted me to travel to Brazil. I said, no, I don't want to go out the country right now. We can do
But thank
Zoom.
you.
I said, we can do Zoom. They want me to speak at a conference. I said, well, let me speak on Zoom. But it's not about me. And I tell people all the time, you looking at me because I'm just the voice. I'm the light that has been set on a hill for people to see. And people will be able to come and draw from the light. That's all I see. Don't get me started.
She is the first woman and first Black mayor to serve as mayor of the city of Ferguson, Mayor Ella Jones, who is indeed living history. Thank you, Mayor Jones, for joining me on KMOX.
Well, thank you, Carol. Anytime. I really enjoy talking with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Let me stop that. Oh, yes.